What if the foods you eat every single day are quietly teaching damaged cells how to survive, spread, and grow? In this video, we're exposing the 5 worst foods that act like fertilizer for cancer cells and the science-backed strategy that can cut off their fuel supply. Pause what you're eating and listen carefully. Cancer doesn't begin overnight. It begins with signals, and food is one of the loudest signals your body ever receives. Food number 1 is the silent carcinogen. There is a hidden threat sitting in pantries around the world that most people have never heard of. It's called aflatoxins. This isn't the obvious green mold you see on old bread. Aflatoxins are invisible, tasteless, and far more dangerous. They thrive in crops stored in warm, humid conditions, and you cannot see them with the naked eye. The most common sources are peanuts, corn, and tree nuts, like pistachios. This is not fear-based speculation. Aflatoxins are officially classified as a Group 1 carcinogen, the highest risk category. Your liver acts as the body's primary filtration system. Everything you eat eventually passes through it. When aflatoxins enter the body, the liver attempts to neutralize them. But during that process, the toxin damages the DNA of liver cells themselves. It's like grabbing a red-hot coal to throw it away. You get burned in the act. Repeated exposure creates ongoing DNA injury inside the liver. Researchers studying populations in humid regions of Asia and Africa found a clear and direct link between dietary aflatoxin exposure and liver cancer. The connection is strong and consistent. The good news is you don't need to eliminate nuts entirely. Nuts can be very nutritious, but you must be selective. Check the source. Avoid bulk bin nuts where humidity control is questionable. Perform a freshness test. If a nut looks shriveled, discolored, or tastes stale, spit it out immediately. That unpleasant taste is often the chemical signature of spoilage. Don't rely only on peanut butter. Rotate with almond or cashew butter from reputable brands that actively test for mold contamination. Food number 2 is the sugar trap. To understand why certain foods are dangerous, you first have to understand how cancer cells fuel themselves. Cancer cells do not eat like healthy cells. A healthy cell is efficient, like a hybrid engine. It uses oxygen and fuel to produce energy cleanly. Cancer cells are inefficient and aggressive. Even when oxygen is available, they prefer to ferment sugar. This metabolic behavior is known as the Warburg effect. This is where refined sugar and high glycemic carbohydrates become a problem. When you drink soda, eat pastries, or consume ultra-refined bread that dissolves instantly in your mouth, you flood your bloodstream with glucose. For a healthy cell, this is overwhelming. For a cancer cell, it's an open buffet. These cells often carry significantly more insulin receptors than normal tissue, allowing them to pull sugar out of the bloodstream faster than anything else. But sugar alone isn't the full danger. The bigger issue is the hormone released to manage it, insulin. Picture your bloodstream like a garden hose. Eat a bagel or a bowl of sugary cereal and sugar rushes through the line. Your pancreas releases insulin to clear it. Insulin's job is storage, but it's also a powerful growth signal. It tells cells to grow, divide, and store energy. In a healthy system, this signal is brief and controlled. In a sugar-heavy diet, the signal never shuts off. Over time, cells stop responding. This is insulin resistance. It's like bending the hose until pressure builds behind the kink. Insulin levels rise higher and higher as the body tries to force the message through. Now you have a dangerous combination: high blood sugar feeding abnormal cells and high insulin telling them to grow. You've supplied both the fuel and the green light. This is why studies consistently show strong links between chronically elevated insulin levels and cancers of the breast and colon. The body becomes locked in permanent growth mode, never pausing long enough to repair damage or remove defective cells. Food number 3 is processed meats. Walk to the deli counter and you'll see products that look like food but behave very differently inside the body. There is a massive biochemical difference between a fresh cut of meat and a slice of bologna. The issue with processed meats, bacon, sausages, hot dogs, and deli ham is not just fat or salt, it's how they're preserved. To keep meat pink and shelf-stable for long periods, manufacturers add nitrates and nitrites. Inside the digestive tract, the acidic environment of the stomach and the proteins in the meat convert these compounds into nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are highly reactive molecules that damage the cells lining the colon. They are potent mutagens that directly increase DNA errors. Large international analyses reviewing hundreds of studies have concluded that eating just 50 grams of processed meat per day, less than 2 slices of bacon, can significantly increase colorectal cancer risk. Cooking method adds another layer of danger. When processed or red meat is cooked until charred black, it produces heterocyclic amines. These compounds interfere with DNA replication. It's like trying to follow blueprints after someone splashes ink across the page. Instructions get misread, and errors multiply. If you eat meat, the strategy is simple. Choose fresh cuts over processed products. Avoid burning it. Use marinades. Herbs like rosemary and thyme can significantly reduce the formation of these DNA-damaging compounds during cooking. Food number 4 is the inflammatory oil spill, processed fats. Every cell in your body is wrapped in a membrane that controls what enters and exits. That membrane must remain flexible and resilient. It is built directly from the fats you consume. If you build a house with cheap crumbling bricks, the walls will fail. When you build cell membranes with unstable fats, the same thing happens at a microscopic level. We're talking about industrial seed oils like soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, and sunflower oil. The issue isn't fat itself, it's instability. These oils oxidize easily, especially after repeated heating in commercial fryers. Once consumed, they trigger oxidative damage throughout the body. Oxidation is biological rust. It corrodes tissues and activates the immune system. Short-term inflammation is useful for healing. Chronic inflammation is destructive. It's like emergency responders permanently stationed inside your body, firing at anything that moves. Nearby healthy tissue gets damaged in the process. Historically, humans consumed omega-6 and omega-3 fats in roughly equal amounts. Today, that ratio is closer to 20-1. The modern diet is saturated with inflammatory signals. This constant inflammation creates ideal conditions for cancer development. The solution isn't eliminating fat, it's replacing the wrong fats. Olive oil and avocado oil are stable and anti-inflammatory. Omega-3 fats from fish like salmon and sardines actively resolve inflammation and support immune balance. Food number 5 is alcohol. This is the one most people defend emotionally, but biology doesn't negotiate. When you drink alcohol, your body doesn't simply metabolize it, it detoxifies it. Ethanol is converted in the liver into acetaldehyde, a highly toxic compound. Acetaldehyde interferes with DNA repair. We all experience DNA damage daily from sunlight, stress, and normal metabolism. Alcohol shuts down the repair crews that fix those breaks. Alcohol also damages the lining of the mouth, throat, and digestive tract, making these tissues more permeable. This allows other carcinogens to enter more easily. That's why research shows a clear dose-dependent relationship between alcohol consumption and cancers of the liver, esophagus, and breast. In women, alcohol also increases estrogen levels, which can fuel hormone-sensitive cancers. Reducing alcohol intake is one of the fastest ways to lower toxic burden in the body. Now, how do you starve the enemy? We've identified the supply lines: glucose spikes, insulin growth signals, inflammatory fats, and chemical mutagens. The next step is activating the body's cleanup system, known as autophagy. Autophagy is the process by which the body recycles damaged components and removes dysfunctional cells. When you eat constantly, the body stays in growth mode and never pauses to clean house. When you stop eating for a period of time, something powerful happens. The body senses that no new energy is coming in and switches to efficiency mode. It begins identifying broken, old, or malfunctioning cells and recycles them for fuel. Autophagy targets damaged proteins and precancerous cells that no longer function properly. But this process cannot activate when insulin levels remain high. That leads to the strategy. Compress your eating window. Give your body 12, 14, or even 16 hours without food each day. Let insulin fall. Let internal repair systems do their work. Prioritize fiber. Fiber slows sugar absorption, flattens glucose spikes, binds toxins, and feeds beneficial gut bacteria that reduce inflammation. Then shift metabolism. Cancer cells rely heavily on sugar. Healthy cells can use fat and ketones. By lowering refined carbohydrates and focusing on healthy fats and quality protein, you change the terrain. Cancer often feels like a lightning strike, but biology tells a different story. We are more like gardeners. We can't control every seed that lands in the soil, but we can control the soil itself. We can choose not to water weeds with sugar and insulin. We can choose not to poison the ground with inflammatory oils and chemical preservatives. We can allow recovery through fasting so repair systems can function. Every meal sends a message. It either signals repair, stability, and balance, or chaos, growth, and inflammation. That choice happens every day. Start small. Check nuts for freshness. Replace processed deli meat with real food. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. These aren't just nutrition tips. They are strategic decisions in the defense of your own life. If this breakdown helped you see food differently, support it so this information can reach others who need to hear it.